So Spider-Man showed up to Matt Murdock's apartment and told him that he was done as Daredevil, and Matt didn't even argue, and this is the reason why. Welcome back to Keepin' a Comic, and I'm your host Garet here, and this story is coming out of Chip Zdarsky's Daredevil run here from 2019. Now this here is the first of 5 issues, and this arc is called No Fear, as in do you know fear. Now just for some context here, before this arc, Matt Murdock, Daredevil, was hit by a truck. Not metaphorically, literally hit by a truck. And it was bad enough that he spent weeks in the hospital, went through surgeries, physical therapy, the whole thing. And now he's back in Hell's Kitchen, back in the suit, back to what he was doing before. But he's not ready. And this is what Zdarsky builds this entire arc around here, is that Matt isn't the same. His body isn't fully there yet. The city itself has also changed. Right before Matt got hurt, Wilson Fisk had just become mayor. And when he comes back, he's now officially a year in. Other villains have also stepped up while Daredevil was missing, and we will see how that plays out all the way up until we get to Spider-Man. So we open up here with Matt at a bar, and he's essentially just trying to reconnect with life after the injury, soaking in the sounds, the smells, the noise of people living their lives, and being Matt Murdock. He ends up leaving with the woman that he met there because, of course, you know, the Matt Murdock riz. But after that, homeboy can't sleep because Matt talks about how his radar sense, something that used to bring him joy, this incredible thing where he could feel everything around him, which, by the way, the visuals here are absolutely amazing on his radar sense, which is just phenomenal work here by Marco Caqueto. But basically, Matt mentions here that it's just starting to feel like a cage. He can feel the walls, the ceiling, the windows vibrating, the temperature shifting. It's all just reminding him of how long he was gone, how long he was locked inside himself while his body healed. So what does he do? Well, he goes out on patrol. Now, homeboy is rusty. He even admits it. He went after a guy earlier that night without the costume. The guy shot someone and then got away, and then Matt just had to stop him. He's not sharp. He's not ready. We see him slipping here as he's swinging out on the rooftop, but he can't stop himself either. And then there's 3 blocks away where he picks up a robbery that's in progress at a liquor store. Now, 2 guys are cleaning the place out who were tipped off by a man inside who gave them the codes. Simple smash and grab. And Matt thinks, all right, I got this. He does not got this, by the way. So he goes and immediately misses a swing on one of these guys. He gets clocked right back in the face. He ends up knocking out that guy with his elbow, and he goes down hard. Like, dude's eyes look like they roll to the back of his head. Then a gunshot goes off and it scrambles his senses. But suddenly he thinks that there's 3 people when he already knocked one out. He then gets hit over the head with a liquor bottle. He ends up on the ground getting stomped. This is like Daredevil, by the way, right? Getting stomped by liquor store robbers. He pulls it together eventually and then takes them down. But by that time, man, sirens are coming. Homeboy's an absolute mess. Now he ends up hopping on up out of there here before the explosion goes off, which he wanted to help, but with Fisk still having the cops under orders and him being pretty beat up, he's like, all right, you know what? I gotta go. Now in the aftermath, dude is standing on top of a roof or sitting on top of a roof, and he's thinking to himself like, damn, I fought the entire hand. I faced Ultron, I've gone against the Hulk, and tonight I almost got put in the ground by 3 robbers. And oh, by the way, if anyone checked the idea, the guy in the red suit, which would be him, that's Matt Murdock, a former lawyer, former mayor, almost killed by a liquor store robbery. So that's currently where Matt's head is. But what he doesn't know yet, what nobody tells him in that moment, because how would he know, is that one of those robbers, a guy named Leo Carrero, the one that he knocked out with his elbow and was out cold, well, he was taken to the hospital after the fight, and he did not make it. Shortly after he arrived at the hospital, he was pronounced dead. And the reports are going out that Daredevil was the one who did this because the surveillance cameras caught it all on film. Now, before all that plays out, we get one of the most important relationships here in this entire run introduced, and that here, his name is Father Cathal. We see this initial flashback here to when Matt was just a kid. His father Jack drags him into church because Matt got picked up at the precinct here, not for breaking and entering. Matt was very specific about that. He said he just entered. See, a kid named Jeremy Colton conned his friend Davey out of his baseball cards. So Matt went and got them back. The simple justice in his mind. Now, Father Cathal sits him down and hears him out. And you can already see the Daredevil right in Matt as a young child, and also the lawyer in him too, by saying, I didn't break in, I just entered. That's too funny. but then also the aspect here of wanting to make right and injustice. Now, Father Cathal doesn't completely disagree with him. He tells Matt that he's a good boy and that he did a good thing for his friend, but then he tries to enforce the truth still. He's like, man's laws are still man's laws. So you did one thing wrong as far as I can see. You got caught. And that line right there basically sets up everything that Matt Murdock is and everything that this arc is going to be wrestling with. We also get another flashback here. Now, this one is one of the early days of Matt being Daredevil, a younger Matt, this time at a confessional. And he's telling Father Cathal how he's been using his abilities to help people, that God made him this way for a reason. And Father Cathal just like stops him. He's like, Matt, men who use violence, no matter the justification, can grow to crave it. That there is a very real difference between a man who uses violence to save someone and a man who seeks it out like an addict. And he tells Matt this plainly. He's like, I can hear it in your voice, Matthew. You're on the precipice. Now, Matt drops the mask there in that moment, and then he leaves, because that's what Matt does when the truth gets a little bit too close. And then we jump back here into the present time. Mayor Fisk is watching the news. Now, Daredevil has been caught on surveillance cameras at the scene that we just talked about, right? And because of that, now you can see where Wilson Fisk is thinking this is the moment that he's been waiting for. So now the heat is on, right? And the first person that Matt has to deal with is Foggy Nelson. Now, Foggy's been trying to reach him since the news broke, and Matt already knows what he's going to say before he even walks through the door. Because that's the thing about Foggy, right? He's predictable in the best way. He believes in the system. He believes that there's always a legal play. So when Matt finally shows up, Matt first tells him, I'm fine, but yeah, he's also dead, but also I didn't do it. Somebody is setting me up. To which Foggy's like, well, you've told me about incidents before like this from the past, insinuating here, of course. And then Matt just looks at him and says, Foggy, I didn't do it. And how he believes that Fisk, he's the one that did this. How he believes that he didn't get his hands dirty himself, but he's the one pulling the strings. Now, Foggy doesn't say that he doesn't believe him, but he doesn't exactly say he does either. So Foggy makes the recommendation. He's like, how about this? Turn yourself in, might be able to even keep the mask on. He knows that he's testified before as Daredevil, which, by the way, that's exactly what Matt knew that he would say. And he makes it clear. Matt is just like this. I'm not going to do that. So then Foggy's like, well, at least could you like put the costume away? To which Matt's like, that would basically be just admitting guilt. The costume got to stay on. People need to see it. They need to see me. I'm Daredevil. So we go straight next after this, right, over to the hospital, to the doctor that worked on Leo. Now, he does not get the answer that he wants here. The doctor breaks it down. He's like, yep, it was blunt force trauma to the base of the skull. Blood clot, acute subdural hematoma. They rushed him into surgery, but it was already too late. And Matt runs his senses over this guy while he's talking. He's like heartbeat, breathing, micro expressions, and he knows the doctor is not lying. But then the doctor turns it back on him. And this is a moment right here, I'm not gonna lie to you, I absolutely love this here, because this dude, he ain't got no powers, no costume, no nothing. And he's standing there telling Daredevil to his face that this is your fault, that he's seen the people that Matt has sent through these doors over the years, and every single one of them walked out eventually, because Matt is surgical. He knows exactly how much pressure to apply, exactly where to hit, how to put someone down without killing them. And now someone is dead. So the question is, what changed? And because Matt doesn't have an answer, he basically just like takes off. Now there's this new guy, his name is Detective Cole, and he's the one that's on this case right now alongside his partner Higgins. So he's hunting down Daredevil, trying to find him. Now Cole, the only thing that we really know about him here at this point is that he's from Chicago. He has a family member named Anna. He likes to box. He's very diligent about his work. And also as a prerequisite here, he don't like Daredevil. And also he don't like Kingpin either. I mean, my bad, y'all, Mayor Fisk. Speaking of which, he does pay him and his partner a visit over to Wilson Fisk himself. And he's not very subtle about it. He's like, we're here about the homicide, my guy. And Fisk realizes that the reason why he's really there is because of his history with the Daredevil. Alleged, by the way, is what Fisk says. Now, Cole mentions this, how Fisk has been pushing hard to bring him in ever since he became mayor. A man is dead, so here we are. And Fisk does this thing where he's like composed, almost amused to a certain extent, talks about the law and order and the men who serve the city, trying to appeal to Cole's distaste for vigilantes. He knows that Cole is there to see whether or not Daredevil has paid a visit to Mr. Fisk himself, because Daredevil now has been scouring the streets to see who set him up. So Fisk is like, nope, he ain't come over here. While also making it very clear that he knows about Cole's background too and his family as well, but not in a very threatening way, of course, and I'll put that in quotations. But of course, now naturally, Cole ain't buying any of this, right? And as he leaves, you can tell that this is a man who sees through Fisk just as clearly as he believes that he sees through Daredevil. He's not on anybody's side but the law's, and he makes an internal promise that when he's done with Daredevil, that he's coming after Fisk's nest. Now, interestingly enough, but not surprising, after Cole and Higgins leave, Matt was outside listening the entire time. And when Wellesley pulls Fisk aside and Fisk says that he genuinely had nothing to do with this one, Matt's radar sense confirms it. Like, Fisk isn't lying. He didn't set him up. So if it wasn't Fisk, then who exactly was it? Now, Matt doesn't have that answer yet, but what he does next tells you everything about where his head is, right? He goes over to the church, not as Daredevil, but as Matt. Father Simons isn't there, but a woman named Sister Elizabeth is. And Matt isn't really looking for a confession. He just needs someone to talk to. He tells her that everyone thinks that he did something unforgivable. And she tells him this: nothing is unforgivable. And then she says, if you want to help people, then go help people. And that was all that he needed. So homeboy puts a suit back on and he just gets to work. He's out here stopping crimes, pulling people out of bad situations because he's good at it. That's who he is. This is what his body knows how to do, even when everything feels broken. And he's being careful. He knows exactly how much pressure to apply, exactly where to hit. He uses violence, but also uses compassion. And when he was younger, he made mistakes, but now he would never kill someone. But the whole time this internal monologue is running in his head, he's thinking, but like, if Foggy doesn't believe me, my oldest friend, how am I supposed to convince anyone else? The other heroes, the people I'm protecting? Will criminals still fear me now? Or will they just band together to take me out first, not that it's life or death? And if it wasn't Fisk who set this up, then who was it? Somebody had to have gotten to Garet between the robbery and the hospital. So he decides to go back to the scene and see if his senses can pick anything up. But when he gets there, it's overwhelming. There's burnt wood, waterlogged building materials, torch alcohol. It's just far too much. He can't pull anything useful out of it. He's basically standing there like, all right, this was a dead end. Except then his radar sense picks up two people working the scene. And who are those two people? Cole and Higgins. Now Higgins immediately pulls his gun, freeze, and then Daredevil just knocks it clean out of his hand. But then Cole doesn't reach for his weapon. He charges after Daredevil. Now Matt ends up kicking him straight in the chest. Cole goes down and then Matt tries to move. And then Cole pulls out his gun from the ground and then fires. Like, this is how you know that, like, Matt is not ready. He would have been able to clock that before that even happened. So the bullet hits and the shot comes with the bullet and Matt goes down hard. And Cole gets on radio and calls it in. He's like, suspect down, Daredevil has been shot. But here's the thing, Matt was passed out for a little bit here, but then he comes back too. And when he does, he starts playing dead, just lying there on the ground, listening, focusing his radar on everything around him. And Cole is closing in with the handcuffs, calling out for Higgins, thinking that this thing is wrapped up. What Cole doesn't realize, what most people never think about here, and I love this phrasing here from Chip, because it says Matt's radar sense doesn't point in one direction. His senses reach all around him. So as Cole comes in from behind, Matt is thinking, if you're at my back, you may as well be looking right at me. So then he springs up, grabs Cole's wrist before the cuffs can go on, kicks the gun out of the way, hits Cole in the stomach, and then starts walking like off. Higgins tries to yell at him again, freezing, and starts firing, but Matt keeps on going and keeps going. But that bullet that currently is in the shoulder starts to feel like it's on fire. Every step, it's pushing further and further in. He can't climb, he can't swim. Well, I'm sure that he actually couldn't swim too, but what I meant to say here is that he can't swing. He has to stay completely here on street level, and Cole is right behind him on pursuit. Matt's ducking through the alleys here, trying to disappear into the city. At one point, Cole stops a couple on the street, like, yo, did you see Daredevil? And one of them is like, nah, man, but even if I did, I wouldn't tell you behind. And the woman that he's with mentions how Daredevil saved my cousin, and the person who attacked, he put him in a hospital. So even on the run, man, even as a murder suspect, the city still got Daredevil's back. And that only buys him a little bit of time because there's this moment here where Cole catches him. He sees him walking here with the suit on, but his mask is off and a little trench coat here. So then Cole gets on the radio and calls that in. So Matt puts the mask back on and then he keeps it moving again. And then the backup arrives. Cop cars are everywhere, lights everywhere. Matt jumps on the hood of a car trying to figure out a way out of this. And when he looks up, he sees Wilson Fisk there over in the corner as well. And it ain't just cops, there's civilians everywhere. Homeboy's completely boxed in. So Matt does the only thing that he knows how to do when he's put into a corner. He starts talking like a lawyer. He turns to the officers around him and starts working them one by one. Asks Officer Bileski how his partner is doing. A full recovery thanks to Daredevil. Asks Sergeant Thompson how the Williams family is holding up. They're good. Told me to thank you if I ever saw you again. Just like a lawyer working a jury, and it's working. The cops around Cole are not exactly rushing in to help him out. And Cole is pissed. He starts yelling out. He's like, you're all officers of the law. This unrestricted, dangerous civilian in a devil's costume is out here doing things that would have any of you up on charges. Somebody give me a gun so I can do my job and make this arrest. So then Matt takes the gun and slides it over to his feet, and then he puts up the dukes. And then Cole takes off his jacket and he's like, all right, let's do this damn thing now. Like, you got Daredevil and this detective about to square up in the middle of the street. And nobody's stepping in to stop this thing because Matt mentions how the circle of heartbeats surround them fast and loud, but nobody moves in because here's the thing. Half of these cops, Daredevil has saved at some point. The other half are dirty and scared. They know him, and no matter what, Cole is a cop. So Matt isn't gonna hurt him worse than he has to. But here's the thing, right? And that bullet right now that's in Matt's shoulder is a ball of fire pushing against everything inside of him. Matt is trying to focus, trying to fight left-sided, but Cole is catching him on his absolute worst day, man. Cole lands enough just to be able to get the opening that he needs. Like he's going to town on this dude. Then he ends up sparing him, pins him down here on top of a cop car, and then just starts unloading on him. I mean, it's like 1, 2, 3 punches, turns him over, grabs the cuffs, and then tells him, do me a favor, stay down. Like Daredevil is officially under arrest in the street in front of the whole city, in front of Fisk. And you know Fisk is just absolutely loving this right now. He's like, yo, this is my birthday. They end up loading him here into the back of a police van. There was actually a cop that stopped Detective Cole here from being able to pull off Matt's mask. But then it gets crazy because then the shooting starts happening and everybody's like, where the heck is this coming from? And I mean, this thing just starts tearing through the cop cars here. The shots are going everywhere. There's like smoke bombs that are going off. Yo, it is absolute chaos here. Cops are diving for cover. Civilians are scattering. Matt's in the back of the van, cuffed and trying to figure out like what's happening, how to get out of this. He gets the cuffs off and then he starts getting moving. Meanwhile, Cole is outside trying to get a visual on anything through the smoke. But then he spots Daredevil here getting away. So that he goes over and grabs. But then here comes these arms that just wrap around his neck and you can see him like he just starts fading. And with Matt's senses all messed up, he's like, I can't do anything. The next thing we know here, what we see is radar sense. We see a body just like laying on the ground next to him. And then what we see next here is that he just goes black, goes dark. And then when he comes back around, he wakes up. There's this voice that says, congrats, you will live. But better than that, you've seen the light. And of course, we see that marking here on the shirt of the Punisher. Because why not, right? Now, naturally, of course, man, Matt ain't happy about this at all, especially after all the people that he just like gunned down, basically. Not even a little bit, right? Now, Frank has him patched up in some hideout, and there's a third person that's in the room, one of the owls here. Now, the owls have been filling the vacuum while Daredevil was gone, moving product, building back up, and Frank has been watching him. He's also been watching Matt too, and he tells him straight up, he's like, you know what, Matt? I like what I've seen since you got back. Thinks that he's finally done being soft, thinks he's finally ready to do what needs to be done. Now, the guys from the owl, or the guy that I just mentioned here from the owls, is tied up and beat up, and Frank wants information on a drug shipment. The guy tells him what little he knows, and Matt like realizes that dude is telling the truth. But Punisher doesn't care too much because Frank, the truth doesn't really change what this dude thinks at all. And that's when Frank kind of launches into it here. He starts attacking Matt directly, verbally. He calls him a phony. He says Daredevil has always been a fraud, running around in a Halloween costume. And then this man says beating up criminals with a little stick. That made me laugh so hard. That's too funny. Oh my goodness. He's like, just dirty enough to feel dangerous, but never dirty enough to actually fix anything. He says that Matt pretends to care about the victims while letting the people who make those people victims walk free to do it all over again. And then he asks him this. He's like, am I right? Are you done being a phony? So Matt, he tries to stall here because he doesn't want him to kill this dude. He keeps Frank talking while he works on getting free, pushes back and tells Frank that all he does is justify murder, that he's just a man who thinks that he's above the law. To which Frank says something that generally kind of cuts Matt a little bit here. He's like, you can't break what you're above. You dress like the devil. You operate on a whole different level. What do laws mean to the devil? And then Frank raises his gun at the Owls guy and says, this dude is useless. And that's the question, like, why shouldn't he just put a bullet in him right now? To which Matt kind of talks him down, tells Frank that he doesn't know this man's story, doesn't know what broke him or what life handed him, and that lives are overall complicated. To which Frank basically goes, okay, fine, then let him go then. So then he cuts him loose. And bro, the second that this dude goes free, he goes for a freaking gun, bro. I mean, come on, my guy. You just got let go. Go home. Maybe you had a chance. But nope. Then Frank has to take this dude out. And then Matt, yo, this dude gets pissed. Because here's what Frank says after that. He's like, a better man finds a guy who puts up a fight, then kills in self-defense. Sound familiar? Does that work for you now? Like, he's insinuating, he's talking about Daredevil and the guy that he murdered. Well, allegedly. So Matt, he finds the strength. He rips free of the bandages. He gets up. He goes after Frank, man. And Frank is still going at him. He's like still calling him a phony, still saying that he knew that Matt hadn't changed, that he's a killer who just won't admit it. And this whole brawl breaks out between him and Frank, basically talking like this here the entire time. He's like, I really hope that you change, Red. I know you're a killer. I see the glee when you fight. Your effing line is stupid. You cross it. I'm sure this ain't the first time either. I'm a math guy, Red. I take out one bad guy, then more good guys live. Sometimes when you and I butt heads, I think about the fact that you're a good guy, but a selfish good guy who just does enough to feel like he's a good guy, who one day may take me down, leaving more twisted bleeps out there killing, ruining lives. It's math. I bank on you not stopping me, on you growing up and finally doing what's necessary. Maybe I'm a fool. Maybe I just need to listen to the math. And then he pulls his gun here on Matt and then says, sorry, Red. So then Matt fires these Kevlar shots at him that hits him. And then he starts firing some more shots and what actually hits Frank here in the neck. Yo, and this dialogue here from Matt from Daredevil is so freaking savage. This dude is like, do you have any idea at all what I can do? The level of carnage I could unleash with a gun in my hand. The number of dead if I decided to be like you. It's no contest, Frank. You're amateur hour. Like, yo, that line hits hard, bro. And then he's like, you're a demon, sure, but I'm the devil. Then this dude lights the whole place up, which kind of backfires on him, by the way, because he's in close quarters here and the explosions mess with his own senses. And Frank uses the opening to come back at him, but Matt has that motivation now and stops him with one of his punches and drops him with one clean shot here right to the throat. Punisher is down. Matt stands over him and says, I'm not a murderer, because if I were, Frank, you'd be dead right now. To which Frank, flat on his back, is like, it'll be worth it, just knowing what you'll become, better than anything I could ever do. And then Matt just knocks him out. So then Matt picks him up, and then later on he drops him outside a diner here where he knows that police will be there to pick him up. And then he pops some pain meds because this man has a gunshot wound, just fought Punisher, fought Cole earlier before. I mean, this dude's had a long day right now, but he decides that he's gonna go after the Owls himself. By the way, this dude shows up at the Owls operation wearing a Punisher t-shirt. Like, listen, my guy, like, what are you doing? But we'll find out why later on. So Matt starts picking guys off, man. And I mean, this dude is surgical, efficient, working through the outer layer of muscle they've got loading up the trucks. But he's running on fumes at this point. The gunshot wound, the fight with Cole, the fight with Frank, the pain meds doing what they can, but only so much. Everything is catching up to him. And then this big armored guy comes out. We're talking Iron Man level hardware here. And you know what Matt does? He's like, great. That just means that I don't have to hold back. So he changed this dude up to a truck man, puts a round here in one of the tires, and then sends the whole thing careening, takes the armored guy with it. But then he turns around and it's just a wave after wave of guys coming after him. And he keeps on fighting because that's all he knows to do right now. He's telling himself, I do this to help people. I do this to help people. And he keeps saying it over and over and over again. Like if he says it enough times, it will drown out everything. But there's just way too many of them and he's too hurt. And then the knife goes directly here into the side and like, yo, that looks brutal. And when he pulls it out, he just like he don't have much left, right, at this point. And that in that moment, because this is a comic book series here, the heroes always arrive. The help always arrives at the right time. And that's exactly what happens here. The cavalry comes on in. What we see next here is Iron Fist. We see Jessica Jones. We see Luke Cage here. And Matt's first reaction is like, yeah, my friends, they're here to help me. But then it flips because he's like, hold on. They're not here to help me. They know. They think I'm a murderer. They're here to stop me. He goes to fight back here, but then homeboy, he blacks out again. How many times this dude gonna faint today? So when he wakes up, man, Danny Rand is right next to him, right? Luke and Jessica are there too, and they're telling him that the Owls, like the Owls are handled, the drug situation is shut down for now, but they want to know what he was thinking going in there alone like that. And Matt finally breaks. He tells them that he knows why they're really there. And he says the thing out loud that for the first time that he's been thinking about or he's been trying to avoid this entire time. He's like, I killed a man. I tried to convince myself I didn't, but I hear the sound of his head hitting the wall every time I close my eyes. And he tells them that he just wanted to do one last good thing as Daredevil before they took him in, and that he's glad that it was them, his friends. And Jessica is the one who tells him, like, nobody's here to take you in, my guy. We're just worried about you. And then Luke backs her up. He's like, whatever happened was an accident. It's what happens when you do what they do. They've all been there. And JJ tells him, you just got to deal with it. You move on. It's part of the job. And then Matt kind of like gets up. And in this moment, he's like accusatory. He's like, you're all murderers. But then he stops and he's like, no, like, we're all murderers. And I forgot to mention this too, because even before we even got to this point, like Danny was the one that pointed out that he was wearing Punisher's shirt, to which he was like, yo, I never noticed that before. Like, I just needed a shirt. So he put the thing on without even recognizing it. Like, yo, Matt is an absolute mess, to the point where he's like, yo, can I just go to the washroom for a second here and just splash some water on my face? But then after that happens, like Danny and Luke, they look at each other like, that wasn't a good idea here. And when they go back, yeah, Matt was not in that bathroom no more. So what we see next here is Matt is just walking. He's moving through the city alone in his head, barely paying attention to his surroundings, which is how you know he's so far gone, because Matt never stops paying attention to his surroundings. And he doesn't even realize that there's somebody that's actually following him. And it's here in this moment here where he recalls this conversation with Father Cathal, telling him how he's afraid, but that he knows that he helps people. It's what he's good at. It's what God made him good at. But then Father Cathal tells him this. He's like, God made you good at a lot of things, Matthew. This isn't the way. Your father fought so that you wouldn't have to. And now look at you, dressed as a devil, beating up the disenfranchised, the ones who haven't found God yet, jumping through hoops to testify what's already inside of you. What's inside of you right now, son, is violence. The Lord hates those who love violence, Matthew. This will be your undoing. Renounce it. Cast out the devil. which is very heavy, and we don't see Matt have an answer to it. What we do see next here is that we jump back to his present time when he gets back to his apartment, and when he sits down, takes the mask off, thinks about, hey, usually during this time I would meditate. He realizes that there's somebody else that is inside of his apartment. Strong heartbeat, incredible stillness, pure control power. He already knows who it is before the voice even comes in and says, Daredevil, it's Spider-Man. And Peter's like, I followed you here, and normally I couldn't do that, but you are clearly not yourself. He looks at the apartment, the pill bottles, the liquor bottle there, the state of everything, and then he says what nobody else has been willing to say to his face directly. He's like, you killed a man, and I've been there. It's horrible. I had to do a lot of soul searching. I had to learn to be better. But what did you do? You terrorized your neighborhood. You fought cops. You're a mess. You're in trouble. And you're on a suicide mission. And then he says, I'm here to tell you that you're done. He tells Matt that all of them know that this job can't last forever, that there's a day coming for every one of them when the mistakes pile up too high, when the body gives out, when more people get hurt than get saved. And he says that he hopes that someone will step up and tell him when that day comes. Today is that day for Matt. And Matt, he doesn't even fight it. He doesn't argue. He doesn't lawyer his way out of it. He just says, you're right. I know that you're right. I've been looking for the answer, and I thought it was to push harder, go further, and be more relentless. But I can't do this anymore. And he takes the mask off. He hands it over to Spider-Man, and then Peter walks out with it. And the last thing that we hear is Father Cathal's voice saying to Matt, God loves you, Matthew. Hold on to that and do the right thing. Renounce this violence. Cast out the devil. All right, so what do you think here? Leave it down below in the comments. I really liked this arc. Overall, I'll just say this really liked Chip's storytelling here. The art from Marco, like it was all really good. Leave a like here on this video if you can for the YouTube algorithm. Also, subscribe if you're new to the channel. Check out our links that are down below in the description here, one where you can join our Discord. Also, let us know, what would you like to see me cover next in a deep dive? I appreciate you so much. And as always, thank you so much for kicking it with Keepin' the Comic. Bye.